Good morning, everyone, and hope you're having a great day on this gloomy Sunday morning. Today at 3 p.m. in Paris, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, London, and other places throughout the world, Jewish people gathered in a show of solidarity to demonstrate the horrific ruling by the Supreme Court of Paris, of France, in the case of the murder by anti-Semites, by Muslim terrorists, of Sarah Halimi. Sarah Halimi was a 65-year-old woman, a physician in France, who on a given night, her neighbor, a Muslim terrorist, a young 25-year-old, went into her third floor apartment, bludgeoned her to death, beat her, pummeled her, and then threw her out the third floor window as he screamed, Allahu Akbar, God is great, which is something that many terrorists say when they kill others. And in a shocking ruling, the Supreme Court of France ruled that he cannot be tried because he was high on marijuana and therefore was not liable for the actions he did. Here we have a man who murdered a woman, a grandmother, a doctor, just because she was Jewish, unequivocally stating that, bludgeoned her mercilessly and threw her out the window to make believe she just fell out. And the Supreme Court of France has the audacity to rule that he can't be tried, and he was let go free because he was high on drugs. A country that has so much anti-Semitism, a country that has watched half of their Jewish citizens flee out of fear and move to other countries, not just to Israel, by the way, but anywhere to get out of Paris, should have such a ruling that allows a murderer and a terrorist to go free. What does it say to those who hate the Jews? What does it say to the anti-Semites, to those who terrorize? What does it say to the 300,000 plus Jews who still live in Paris about their protections, about their rights, about how their government cares for them? But what does it more importantly say for us Jews worldwide if we don't stand up and let our voices be heard? We stand up to protest every injustice in America and throughout the world, to protect those that have bigotry and hate against them. How could we not stand up for our own when the verse in last week's portion just told us, Lo sa'amoid al dam reyecha, don't stand as your brother and sister's blood is spilled. Sarah Halimi has no voice. She was killed, but she has the voice of thousands and millions of Jews, and not just Jews, but upright citizens who stand up and say justice must be served. Today, there'll also be rallies in New York, in Los Angeles, in Miami. But more importantly, how could we not speak up loud and clear and unequivocally? Where are our leaders? In today's Jewish Torah portion of Emor, the first verse says, God tells Aaron, say to the priests, to the Kohanim, the children of Aaron, and you shall say to them. He says the word Emor twice, and Rashi right away comments and brings the famous quote, Lahazir Gedolim Alaktanim, to warn the leaders and to explain them that they have a responsibility as leaders to educate the youngsters, so to speak, and to give them guidance and to strengthen them in their call for justice and for fairness. And if our leaders will not speak up when our own people are bludgeoned to death, and the Supreme Court of a country, a free, open democracy, who claims to be there to protect the Jewish people from the hatred and the bigotry that they've been suffering for years going on now, could give such a ruling that someone is not liable who had the coolness and the calmness to throw someone out the window and beat them to death, and say that he's not liable because he was on drugs, because he was smoking marijuana? Would that ever be said if it wasn't a Jew? If it was against another minority? If it was against a black person? Would they ever say that same thing? Shame on them. And where are our voices? The famous Martin Niemöller said, and we always quote this, first they came for the communists and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jew and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me and there was no one left to speak out for me. If we don't speak up, who will? And if there are no leaders, then we have to be leaders. This week's Torah portion warns us that the leaders have to speak up, and we have to show our youth, and we have to show the youngsters and those in the community and those around the world that Jewish blood is not cheap, and that we shall never remain silent to the injustice, and that we are the voices of Sarah Halimi. And hopefully, if enough people speak out and enough people demonstrate and call out this atrocity, then the French government will retry this case. And it's not just about Sarah Halimi, it's about every Jew and every human being in the world. Have a great day.